What is up, guys? Pyro Chuck here, along with my Pyro mascot, Miss Macy. Hey, Macy. So we are working on putting together, this is my own personal show that I'm putting together either for July 3rd or July 4th. Not sure when I'm going to do it, weather permitting. But I wanted to show you all some fusing techniques that we use commonly when we're fusing these up. Now, these are just regular ball shells into fiberglass tubes. These came from a kit, if you're familiar with it, Pyrostar. This actually came from the Chroma kit over there. You can see it over there in the corner. And I have about 3 more kits behind these racks over there. But that's where these tubes came out of. Ideally, it's best to use the HDPE tubes. These came from the Excalibur kits. And Miss Macy wants to say hi again. But either one works. The HDPE tubes just kind of look more uniform. Generally, they're all cut at the same height when you get them, so they look better in the racks as opposed to the various heights between different kits. Like I got some TNT Mad Dog, more Chroma, double barrel, and I've got some Black Cat Diablo tubes in here, as well as, you know, mixtures of kits and whatnot. So those tubes tend to be cut at different heights, which is fine as long as they're not too extreme, like, you know, they're either too high or too low. That's why when I have enough of a particular set of tubes, I try to put them all in one rack. Like these are all Pyrostar Chroma tubes, so naturally they all match in height. Whereas everything else can be a little scattered. But anyways, enough of that. So the 2 fusing techniques we're talking about here is, these are more ball shells. I've got them taped up with some masking tape, and I've got some standard safety fuse. This is about 25 seconds per foot burn time. And I usually put them about anywhere from 2 to 3 inches apart from one end of each shell to the next. And you know, it just depends on how fast you want them to fire up in the sky. If you want you know, a good time between one shell versus the other, or if you want you know, a bunch of sky puke, which is ideal for your grand finales and whatnot. If you do want sky puke, I don't recommend using the standard safety fuse. I'd either recommend doing a daisy chain. And a daisy chain is basically taking each fuse and taping them to each other. And actually, I would go a little bit, I'm doing this single-handedly, so it's not exactly ideal, but, you know, about an inch or so from one to the next. And that'll give you a good fast fuse effect if you don't have fast fuse in hand. I ran out of fast fuse on the last show I did. I only have just probably about 5 or 6 feet left of the fast fuse. So I can't really use that for much except for maybe fast fusing these racks together to complete the show. But anyways, so this, you should be able, once everything's taped, you should be able to just lift these and, yep, they're all connected. They're not going anywhere. Masking tape is good. Let's see, get over here. I also use painter's tape. This one is an extra strength painter's tape. And hi, Macy. And the other method is zip ties. As a matter of fact, the professionals prefer to use zip ties because they hold a lot more, a lot stronger, and they won't shift, because when you're in a humid environment, especially around July 4th, temps can be 80s, 90s, and the humidity can loosen the adhesive on this tape pretty quickly, and you don't want this tape coming loose, because worst case scenario, there will be a delay between shells because the fuse won't hit the shell fuse, and it'll just skip one and go to the next one. I had that happen a couple of times in the last show I did. The tape did not stay, and it didn't hit the fuse as it should, so it skipped some shells in the show, so there was a little bit of a delay, which was awkward, but everything worked out. But to avoid that delay, zip ties are your best friend. I got these from Walmart. They're multicolored, which I thought was cool. Price tag on these, if you get them at Walmart, these were $1.97. Sometimes you can get them around $2.50. If you get them at Home Depot, they're like, all one color or whatnot. 4-inch, 100 pack 4-inch is ideal for fusing. But you can also order these much cheaper off of a website called Pyro Boom. They sell packs of 100 for like 85 cents, especially if you buy 10 packs or more. So if you're doing a professional shows are going to usually have around 400 to 500 shells mixed in with the cakes that you're firing off. So, and you want to use 2 zip ties per shell because you want 2 points of contact when you're using zip ties. The masking tape or painter's tape is usually good as is, but it's not as professional. It's good when you're in a pinch, but if you've got the zip ties, use the zip ties, and I will show you how to do that coming up. Okay, so I loaded those 6 shells at the front here, and I've actually got my own visual marking system. The circle is where the fuse starts, and the X is where the fuse ends. So when I'm actually setting these racks out, sometimes my visual reference, I can't see which end the fuse actually starts at, so I can pay attention to the circles when I'm setting them up, before the show, so I know which direction to face them. But anyways, I've got my 6 shells loaded in the tubes here, and those shells were from a previous 6-shot rack, so I loaded these into a 10-shot rack. So I had 4 shells that I had to connect with the shells that I had over here, and you can see where I started that connection process. I had a little bit of fuse over here, I connected that, and then this is where I started fusing in these back 4 shells here. And you can tell the difference in the tape, and it is humid today, so you can kind of see where the tape is a little loose. That's kind of what I want to prevent, because that's kind of shifting here. So if I just lightly tugged on it, I could probably pull that fuse out, and I don't want to do that. So, and I haven't cut this yet, so this is where I wanted to make sure where everything's at. And this rack is going to be set up and connected to, one of these racks. So I'm gonna get my fast fuse to connect from wherever I cut here and fuse it to the starting point of the next rack to continue the show. If I used this fuse to connect it, this is the slower one, so there would be a significant delay between this rack and the next rack it's going to, because I would have to use more than 2 to 3 inches to connect from this rack to the next one. That's why I use the fast fuse to go from one rack to the other, and then I fuse the fast fuse back into the standard fuse, and it picks up the pace going on down the line. So, there you go. Alrighty, so after that short video cut, I've got the first round of zip ties connected, and this color coding was just random, but it seems to work. I'm not exactly crazy, Macy. I'm not exactly crazy about this fusing method because it does require a little bit more work, a little bit more coordination. Okay, Macy. And in my opinion, I'm used to the taping method because I can go a lot faster with it. So it seems like it takes twice the work. But I guess that is ideal for more professional shows because it gives you more continuity and it doesn't skip over shells as much as tape potentially would. And so yeah, this is only one connection of the zip ties, and I started doing a little bit further back here, and then I started getting closer to where the fuse starts. So I don't know if I actually want to do the double zip ties, but I might just go ahead and do it for the sake of the demonstration. But that's the general concept. And let me get a couple more zip ties on here and show you that. All right, so here's the double zip ties. Does look a little busy on the racks. And Maisie, you want too much attention. She's a sweetie, though. She's a sweetie. But, yeah, so that's what it looks like. And you can come back here and clip off all these tips to make it look cleaner. As a matter of fact, there is another step that you might want to do to prevent fuse jumping, which is another issue that can happen in pyro shows that can cause, different shells that, like, I'd like this one, and a spark might actually hit one over here, so you might get two that launch at the same time. So you can either use tape to go over this entire rack and cover them to prevent fuse jumping. So that's another thing that's usually done in professional shows. But it's not necessary. But just in personal shows, but it's optional. But it can also be a lifesaver, especially if you're doing a professional show and you want to make absolutely sure that there is no fuse jumps. So yeah, that's your basic fusing techniques. Pyro Chuck, getting ready to sign off here. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and see you in future videos.